Hi everybody, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I have an old video. It's so old you can see the Christmas tree on my nails that I just never got around to editing or voicing over to show you guys how I do a redesign on my grandmother. And you've seen these kinds of things a lot, but my grandmother is probably the client that I record the most often, so you'll just see her more. So right now I'm just prepping the natural nail. I am pushing back the cuticle with a metal pusher, or you can use an orange wood stick just to release the skin that's kind of sticking to the nail and any of the dead tissue I scrape up using the other side. So next, I'm going to take my Efile Russian manicure bit on a very low speed. This is probably about a 4,000 RPM. I would go between 3 and 5,000, depending on how much debris is on the nail, to clean up the nail plate, because if you don't get this cuticle, this dead skin that is sticking to the natural nail off, the product isn't going to stick to it, and it's just going to lift right up. So that is probably one of the biggest tips that I can give you of how to avoid lifting, is to get you a decent Russian manicure bit and use that to just gently, very gently, and with parallel motion, lift up the dead skin. So as you can see, I start from the middle and I work to the left. I work from the middle to the left on reverse setting, and then I change on forward setting. Then I change my E-file to reverse, and I go from the middle up the right side, and that just keeps the bit spinning in a counterclockwise direction, I believe, so that it's constantly pushing the skin back away from the nail. So next, I just take my brush and I brush away all the dust. And you have the option to take a very thin E-file bit that's also made for Russian manicures. And my grandmother has very deep sidewalls, so I'm just going in with this thinner, teeny tiny, it almost looks like a needle-like bit, to clean up any cuticle that has kind of accumulated into the sidewalls. This is really important because you want product to go at, all of those places, and it's just going to make it look better if it doesn't have that cuticle stuck down there. You don't want it to cause any kind of lifting. It's really just a precaution, and if you have somebody who doesn't have really deep sidewalls, then you're okay, but like I do, and my grandmother does to an extent, sometimes it's just hard for some bits to reach all the way into every little crack and corner, so that's why I use that, and I use it the same way that I use my other one. I go from the middle to one side on forward, middle to the other side on reverse, and I'm keeping it very parallel to the natural nail, and that's what I do anytime I have a bit that I am using with the natural nail. I keep it very parallel. I don't really go in at a 45-degree angle. I try to go in as much as parallel as I can, because it's going to make sure that I'm not digging into that natural nail. So after that, I am going to remove the shine from the natural nail with an arbor band or a sanding band. They're the same thing. And this just preps the natural nail. In order to prep the natural nail for enhancements, you want to use a medium grit arbor band. And that would be like a 180 or a 150. I do like 150s, but 180s work just as well. And all you're doing is tickling away the shine. You're not digging. I really am putting no pressure down at all. I'm just grazing over the natural nail to make sure that it has all the shine taken away. So this is also an optional part. You can carefully remove the excess dead skin that you pushed back, depending on how much skin was adhered to the natural nail plate, you might push it back and it might be sticking up. My grandmother does have a lot of this, and she is a person who really likes her cuticles to look very clean, so she does request that I nip anything that I see. So you want to make sure you're using a good pair of nippers that are sharp to remove any dead skin around the perimeter of the cuticle area. And you want to, this is something that takes practice, and unfortunately you can only, the only way to really know when you will cut somebody is like to practice, and you almost have to cut somebody. It's sounds really bad, but that's the way it is. Like you have to, it's a pressure thing. And it's going to be different on every person, but some people also bleed a lot easier. If the skin is really sweaty and like oily and seems like it's just sticky, then odds are that person is going to, if you nip a little too much, they're going to bleed easier than somebody like my grandmother who does have very dry cuticles. So it's a lot easier to see where the dead skin is compared to the live skin. You just want to work really gently and very carefully with this step. And just remember, you can always go back and take away more, but you can't put any back. So now I'm going to reshape the nails. She's still going for this almond kind of nail shape. She does really like it. It is difficult to, as you can see, she does get an overlay, and it can be a little bit difficult to reshape her nails when natural nails, when they're grown out that long, can kind of get a little bit weird in terms of just how they grow or how they're shaped. It's a lot easier to shape an extension. But I do the best that I can with her because I know that she really does like to keep her natural nails underneath her enhancements or underneath the overlay. And I have tried to sculpt out her nails before, like cut away all the free edge and sculpt her nails to her desired length, but that doesn't work for her because she has such short nail beds. As you can see, her free edge is longer than her nail bed. Her nail bed is so short that it makes it really hard for anything to really adhere to it. And she has a very deep C curve, but just very short nail beds. And her nail beds are very square as well. They're very squared off like the smile line. So I'm just reshaping her free edge as well as I can. I'm using a 150 grit file. You really wouldn't want to use anything any more coarse than a 150 grit file on a natural nail. Those two little black lines on her index finger are nothing to be worried about. It's just basically a small blood vessel burst underneath her nail, and all it has to do is grow out. It's just dried blood. And usually that would happen if a client hits their nail or if they have some sort of trauma. And she does kind of bang her hands around a lot, so she said she couldn't remember anything like terrible happening to it. Didn't hurt, wasn't painful. And I do know that if they're having these black or brown lines kind of out of nowhere, that can be an indication of something more serious, a more serious health problem, such as skin cancer. But she actually had skin cancer, and she goes to the dermatologist all the time, so that is absolutely nothing to worry about. But that's why it is important to know what the nails can tell you. So now I'm cleansing the natural nail with a manicure brush and some swipe. And I'm going to apply my 2 coats of Protein Bond. So they say you can apply 1 coat and it'll be fine. 1 coat on most people, 2 coats on heavy lifters. But I don't really want to find out if they're a heavy lifter. And my grandmother has been a heavy lifter in the past. But since we've started doing this nail, I don't want to say nail care routine, but since we have started to do this combination of techniques, she has since not become a heavy lifter. So I forgot to record that I did put I infilled her thin clear base of acrylic. And now I'm going in with a silver glitter. This, I believe, is called Spiritual Steamer. Oh, I have it on the screen. How helpful. From Young Nails. It's a slick pour, so it's a glitter acrylic mix. This can also be used as dip powder. Young Nails, I do like Young Nails slick pour quite a bit. It's nice to work with. It's very pigmented because it's finely milled, and you can work with it really, really thin to work with inlays, but it also works great as a dip powder, like I said. Or you can mix it with gel. It's a very versatile product. So this is the Frozen Loose Glitter from Exclusive Nail Couture. This is my hands down absolute favorite silver glitter, but I like to put something that's a little finer, like Spiritual Steamer, underneath it, so that if the chunky glitter isn't covering every spot of the nail, you're not going to like see through it. It's just kind of like having a background on something. So the main color we're going to use today is Young Nails Slick Pour Rev Your Engine. So I really did like working with this this color. It walked down very nice. It was a great consistency, like butter, and I could just mold it and walk it down. I don't like glitter acrylics or colored acrylics that you have to like paint on, and I don't like the ones that you have to constantly be adding to them because they're sheer in some spots. This was very even. I set one bead at the cuticle area, and I could walk the product down because since it's higher in pigmentation, the slow time or the cure time is a little slower. I'm just having trouble talking today. Excuse me. Sorry. But it does work very nicely. So I very much enjoyed working with it. It was a very pretty color for Christmas. She kept these nails on for most of the Christmas season. She kind of wanted them changed though right after Christmas, which was fine because I was home anyways. And it doesn't completely pick up in the video. It might a little bit more when I put more light on it, but it does. This Rev Your Engine does have a like very, very minimal kind of understated gold sheen to it. It's very pretty. And of course, I am using my number 8 Nail Career Education Susie brush. This is my favorite brush. I've had it for over a year, and I am not the most gentle with brushes, so some of the hairs are kind of starting to go a little crazy at the top, but it's not anything that makes me unable to use it. So I do have another Susie brush. I liked it so much. Actually, I bought the first one, and then Susie sent me another one with her file kit. So now I just use the new one that I got, the one she sent me, that I opened up probably about a month ago. I use that for most of my acrylic application, and I use the other Susie brush for application of glitter so that I don't get glitter in my good brush, because if you get glitter in your brush, it never comes out. And it's not that you can't clean it, it's just glitter sticks to everything and never leaves. So it is one of my favorite brushes. I really like working with a number 8 brush because it's very versatile. You can make small beads with it, you can make large beads with it. I can overlay a decently long natural nail with a number 8 brush. I could build an extreme length nail, and it has great product control. It holds just the right amount of monomer. I love it. So this is the last finger that I'm going to apply that Rev Your Engine on. I make sure to tap it into the cuticle first. I always want to get the cuticle areas sorted out before anything else. And then I pat and pull the remainder down the nail. If I find that I don't have enough product, it's not a big deal. I can always go and get another bead. So that bead was intentionally a little bit more wet because I didn't need a ton of it. So I really could probably have just painted it on. So you just make sure the whole nail is covered, make sure it's as smooth as possible, and then you just wait for it to cure and move on to the other hand. So apparently I switched hands here. So now I'm going to encapsulate the acrylic and glitter in Young Nails Builder Gels. So my grandmother, in case you didn't catch one of my other videos, she gets hybrid nails. And hybrid nails don't mean a hybrid gel like poly gel. I don't primarily love working with poly gel. I have a few times, but it's not my top pick. When I'm referring to a hybrid nail in this case, I am referring to when I build the base or design in acrylic and then I cap it in hard gel. Hard gel is a slightly softer product than acrylic, so it really works. It does truthfully work best if you would do it over top of the acrylic. You put the hardest product on the bottom, the product with the least amount of give. And the reason that this works so well for my grandmother, first of all, the first reason we even tried it was because I wanted to see, just the gel has amazing clarity. And when she was getting a glitter nail, I wanted to kind of see if the gel made it any more clear than acrylic would have. And it worked really well. And then when she came back to get her nails done, she had like no lifting. And she used to be a heavy lifter, and so I thought, oh, maybe it's just like I did something better this time than I have before. Like, let's see. And now she barely ever gets lifting. And I truthfully think it's because of the hard gel capping her acrylic designs, because the hard gel is not porous, and she works in a lot of water. She works in a lot of chemicals like household cleaning stuff. So I really think the builder gel is just protecting the acrylic that's underneath, and that water can't penetrate through that hard gel because it's not porous, whereas acrylic is porous. And I've talked about that quite a bit on this channel and in the differences between hard gel and acrylic. But this is what works best for her. So she doesn't do super great with gel polish on top of a built out nail or an overlaid nail. It tends to chip on her, so she does well with inlaid designs, and now we figured out she does well with these hybrid nails. So it's really just a trial and error thing, and I've been doing her nails for years now, probably over 4 years, definitely since I was in high school. And she's kind of evolved. She used to just get gel polish. Now she gets, hard gel and acrylics and acrylic inlay designs. So it's really all about just finding what works best for your client. And some properties of a product might be really appealing or great, like the non-porous property of hard gel, but sometimes, it just might be too soft for that client. And I do think it would be too soft for my grandmother, which is why we keep the acrylic underneath and don't just do some sort of topical design or do some sort of inlay design with gel. I work with acrylic first with her because it's a harder product and she's kind of harsh on her nails, and then we just cap it in the builder gel for the strength, the protection, for the design, and to kind of access those non-porous product benefits. And I do like the build gel. This is the build gel from Young Nails. Young Nails has lots of different viscosities of clear gels. They have their base gel, which you can build an extension with. They have flex gel, build gel, and clear sculpture, or I think that's what it's called. Clear sculptor, I think. And the build gel, so build gel is kind of like the middle of the road in terms of viscosity. Base gel and flex gel are both very, very, very runny. Flex gel is really good to mix with stuff. Build gel it moves and it will self-level, but it kind of, for me, self-levels like exactly where I need it to, and I don't really have to play with it too much. And the clear sculptor doesn't really self-level as much. It's more like their concealer pink color, where it has a very slow self-leveling property, and it'll pretty much stay where you put it. And as you can see, I'm alternating between hands, so I'll do one nail on one hand, cure that, and then work on the other hand, one nail on the other hand, while the other is in the light. I do use the low heat mode to avoid heat spikes, but really with this, I don't think, even though I am putting quite a bit of gel on there, I don't think she would get a heat spike because I already have acrylic underneath it, and that would kind of absorb some of the heat that her natural nail would be subjected to. And that's just how I prefer to work with gel, because I don't want it to run, and this build gel does have a little bit more movement than, say, the clear sculptor. So I just really want to make sure that it's not running into the cuticles, because it really is just a mess if that happens, and it's more annoying than anything. So I just cure as long as it takes me to do the other finger, and then it's all good. So I just make sure that I am applying the gel as perfectly as possible. Again, I'm sorry for being out of frame. I really am trying to work on that, but with clients, sometimes it's hard because they kind of pull their hand closer to them. So I don't know, once I get a more permanent setup, I might have something like in the middle of where the camera would be so they can kind of know to keep their hand there so I don't have to constantly be guiding it. But after I do my 90-second slow cure, I make sure to do a 60-second full cure on the whole hand. I don't wait the 90 seconds for the thumb when I'm curing the thumb. Usually, like, even if I'm doing this, then I'll stop after maybe about 20 seconds of it being cured in the low heat mode, just enough so that the heat spike isn't there, and I will turn it on to the 60-second full power mode, because I really just want to make sure that gel is cured and that it's not going to cause me any problems, especially with that thumb. I want to make sure that I get that in the light as soon as possible, because I don't want it to be laying on its side and the gel to pool in the cuticle. That makes me really sad when that happens. Alright, so now I'm going to cleanse the dispersion layer off of the fully cured gel nails, which of course is just, it's like tiny bit of uncured gel. That's what dispersion layer is. These are the finished filed nails. I did not include filing because I don't like filing, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know that's my least favorite part of doing nails. So I think it's boring. If you like it, sorry. If you like it, maybe I'll try to include it more often, but it's not what I would rather show you. I'd rather show you like the application, the prep, and the art, which I feel like are probably the most important parts. So right now I'm going to start to apply rhinestones, and I'm doing this on each of the red nails. I'm picking I have my smallest ones that are on the edges, and then a slightly bigger one in the middle, and then I'm putting caviar beads on the ends, because I think caviar beads really just make a diamond arrangement or a rhinestone arrangement look very jewelry-like, and I don't know, I just think they look really neat, and they kind of tie it together. So caviar beads have changed my game, but they're kind of a pain to work with. They stick together really easily. I could probably solve this by putting a little bit of top coat on my wax tool or coating the caviar beads in top coat, but why would I do that? Because that would be a more simple part. So as soon as I get those caviar beads where I want them, I go ahead and cure it really fast. Again, I'm sorry for being out of frame. But I'm doing the exact same thing to the other pinky. I'm using Poochie Nail's Bling Gel for some of these. For some of them, I decided to use glue. And just a tip when you're using nail glue to adhere rhinestones, I find that it makes it a little easier because they don't slide around. And I actually think they hold a little bit better if you apply, after you have the rhinestones where you want them, if you apply a sealer or like an activator from a dip powder line, like for example, I have the Kiara Sky Seal and Protect. I think it sets the gems really, really well, and then you can just top coat around them, and I did that and I did not lose any rhinestones, and it was actually really difficult to get them off when she came back. I do like the gel method, but gel runs. So I don't love placing rhinestones I don't know. I don't find that I'm very good at it, but they do look very pretty. So again, I'm sorry for this being out of frame. It is really hard to kind of keep your client's hands in frame. So especially when I'm working with such a, I don't have a big area, but a tiny little phone camera, and then they kind of want to pull their hands everywhere. So I'm just going to do that on all of the other nails, and I might cut this out a little bit, and then I'll come back to you with the finished product. I don't think I recorded top coat, so I'm sorry about that, but I will come back to you with the finished picture. Alright, so here they are, the finished nails. I loved how this set turned out. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorites that Nanny has had in my recent memory. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'm sorry for kind of leaving out the top coat and her hands weren't always in focus sometimes. I truly am trying to get better at it. I'm trying to grow. I'm sorry for not recording as many videos lately as I probably should have, because student teaching has just been absolutely crazy. I'll spare you the details, but I'm finally kind of finding my rhythm and creating my barrier between school and my personal life. So I'm finally getting back into making YouTube videos, and I'm so happy that I am. So I will see you guys in the next one. Please like this video. Give me a comment down below. I do love reading them, and I try to respond to as many as I can. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm getting really close to 500 subscribers, and that's really a big deal for me. And I do want to grow this channel as much as I can, because I do have some things planned, or at least trying to get some things planned, and I want as many of you to be there for it as possible. So thank you all for the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.